Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first module of Align and Accelerate. I want to start off by saying thank you for being here. I want to recognize you and honor you and acknowledge you for being here and being committed to growing your life and becoming a better human being. A lot of people are not committed to having the best life possible, and so it says something about you, and I'm honored to be working with you and that you've selected me to help you grow and develop. But most importantly, recognize that the commitment you're making to yourself and acknowledge that, because that is undervalued and does not get recognized nearly enough. Secondly, I want to say thank you for believing in me in the course and being here and allowing me to lead you on the next chapter in your life and allowing you to move forward with your business, with your projects, and your goals. I'm honored to be a part of that, and I am fully committed here to you for the next 6 weeks. So whatever you need from me, feel free to reach out, ask me via email, text, whatever way works for you, because I'm committed to you as I want you to get as close to your goals as possible in the next 6 weeks, and if anything, shatter them and crush them. So we're going to get right into it here. I do want to let you know the first module is a little lighter on content. We kind of go over some housekeeping, how the course is structured, how things operate. So there's not going to be as much content in this first module as you might expect, but there's definitely going to be a lot more in the later modules. And I wanted to keep this one light as I really want you guys to succeed and have success. So I felt having a lighter first module was a good starting point. So I'm going to start off by sharing my screen here with you. And this is how I teach all the modules. I share my screen and you see me in the right-hand corner, and then you have access to my screen. So Align and Accelerate Module 1. I'm going to start off the course with a quote by my good man, Pablo Picasso: "Good artists copy, great artists steal." And the reason why I want to lead off with this quote is because a lot of the ideas in this course are not mine. I've stolen them from the best personal development, productivity experts that I've come across in the last 6-7 years, and I've condensed them all into one course. So ideas from Tim Ferriss to Todd Herman to a whole bunch of other different people to books, podcasts, wherever I've gotten my ideas from, it's all in here, and really just condensed the best information to allow you to grow and develop as much as we can over the next 6 weeks. And so we're gonna get right into it from here. The first idea that I want you guys to know is this, and this comes from Tim Ferriss. And the reason why I'm leading off the course with this idea is because this is the first thing that I found in my life that actually works for me, that has allowed me to move forward and grow and develop with my goals and not get stuck. And that's why I want to teach you guys to it. So what is DIS? DIS is an acronym, and I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen here and come back. And so the D stands for deconstruction. And so basically what you're going to do with your goal, your project, you're going to deconstruct it. We're going to work backwards. You're going to reverse engineer it. So you're going to take your project, whatever it is, and you're going to break down all the components that you need in order to succeed and achieve that goal. Now, the second thing that you're going to do is you're going to select the building blocks necessary for you to achieve that goal. And so what I mean by this, you're going to be using the 80-20 principle, and it's called Pareto's Law. And so what we want to do is we want to select the building blocks that are going to get us 80% of the result with 20% of the work. And this concept has been applied to many things. It is applied to customers and business, where they say that 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients. They say in your house that 20% of the time you walk on the exact same floor space, but it covers 80% of the house that you walk in. So this is the idea that we really want to focus on, is what's going to be the 80-20 rule for us? What's going to give us 80% of the result for 20% of the action? And if we can start focusing and selecting those ideas, that's going to help us to get momentum and start getting closer to achieving our goals. Because a lot of people give up on their goals because they don't see progress and momentum. So we want to isolate that and prevent that by doing things that are going to give us a lot of momentum and progress up front. The next S is called sequencing. And so sequencing is in what order do you want to do your steps? And so, you know, logically it might make sense to go from start to finish, but that's not always the best way to do things. So for example, when I was building this course, right, you know, logically I could have done the research, the reading, then built the exercises, built the slides, and recorded the video. But for me, that would have not been the most conducive way to do it. And what I actually did when I was building the course is I always started each module by building the slides. And so what I did is I would plug in all the information I already had in my head, and then I'd see, okay, where am I weak? Where am I missing information? I feel like I need to brush up or learn some new things. And then based on those gaps, I would go and hunt down books or podcasts that I felt could help plug in those holes. And so I was reverse engineering from that point where I knew there was a weakness in some of the slides, and so I'd work backwards from that. And so what I did is I built the slides, and then I went and did research, and then I did some reading, and then I finished the slides, and once the slides were done, then I made the exercises, and then I shot the video. So you can see it's not always about it being a linear A to B. Sometimes it makes sense to jump into the middle or even work backwards all the way to have the best sequencing. So that's a key thing that I want you to focus on, because linear is not always the best way. So what sequencing can we have in order to achieve our goal that's going to help us to get the result as quick as possible? And the last S is stakes. And so stakes is something I'm going to talk about actually in the last module 6. For the time being though, I just want stakes for you to be a deadline. So we're going to pick a set deadline for you to complete your project goal or launch your business, and then we will move from there. I will explain stakes in further detail and what it all means in the last module, but for today, let's just leave it at that. I do want to say you will be seeing the explanation of this in the notes that I've created for you. So if there's something that you feel like you missed, don't worry, I'm going to get back to it a little bit later on. So I'm going to get back to sharing my screen here with you. And so deconstruction, selection, sequencing, stakes, like I just talked about. And so with stakes, the last, as I just said, is we want to have a deadline. Now, the reason why a deadline is important because there's something called Parkinson's Law. And Parkinson's Law is work expands to fill the time available for its completion. So if we don't have deadlines, we end up giving ourselves more time to get it done. And what ends up happening is we never complete it. So this is something that's fundamentally shifted my life. Whenever I'm doing anything, I'll have a timer, whether it's 30 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, and I always have a set amount of time that I'm working within to complete the task. When I was building this course, I had a firm date deadline when I want to launch it. So this is something that I work with again and again to ensure that I'm meeting my deadlines. Now, this next idea comes from Todd Herman, and our goals need to be specific, have an impact on us, need to be believable, and when they do that, they become exciting. And we need to have goals that are exciting, because if we don't get rattled up by our goals and really convicted to go after them, we're going to give up on them and we're not going to want to do them. So excitement is a key thing, and I'm going to talk about, momentum and energy a lot in this course, where we want to be able to get that momentum going forward for us. So our goals, we want to have a very specific goal. We know exactly what we're going for, what impact it's going to have on us. It needs to be believable, because when it's believable, we have more conviction to go after it. When it's not believable, we just give up and there's no hope that we're going to follow through with it. Now, since a lot of you in this course are building businesses and are entrepreneurs, I wanted to tackle this old age dilemma of what problem are you solving? Because people say when you're an entrepreneur, you should always be thinking about what problem are you solving? What are you going to add to the marketplace that isn't out there? Or how are you helping people out? And one of the best ways that I've come across to address this problem is from a quote by Chris Sacca, and he was interviewed on Tim Ferriss' podcast. And the way he described empathy is really, to me, the entrepreneur's dilemma of what problem are you solving? And so the quote goes like this: empathy is about, can you see the world from somebody else's point of view? What are their pain points? Where are they hurting? What are they afraid of? What motivates them? What are their hopes? What are their dreams? What matters to them? What is limiting them? What's bothering them? What is their hope? It's a lot easier to build something for them. And so this goes back to, like, if you're an entrepreneur, if you can really understand your customer and your end clientele and what their pain points are and what they're struggling with, then you can really get to build something that's going to be valuable for them. And that way you're not creating a product that you put on the marketplace and nobody wants. So this quote has really helped me, because I break it down sometimes. I'm like, what are people's hopes? What are people's dreams? Like, where are they hurting? And when I can understand that in a much better aspect, then I can create better podcasts for people. I can create better quotes. I can create better products. And so this has been something that I use again and again to help me really focus on what I want to build for people. Now, the focus of the course, there's 4 things I want to focus on. Small wins. Small wins are critical to maintaining momentum and seeing progress that we're getting closer to our goals. So that's going to be a key aspect of this course. I want the exercises to be practical. So they're not fairy dairy. They're really like concrete, functional things that you can use day to day. And the idea is that when you are completed with this course, they're tools that you can take with you for the rest of your life. Some of these habits have fundamentally shaped my life, and I use them every single day, and having the hope that they will for you as well. Third, I want this to be enjoyable. If it's not fun, then we're not going to enjoy it, and we're more likely to give up on it. So having enjoyment of this process and this course is really important for me and for you. And last is functional tools, tools that you can take with you for a long period of time that will benefit your life. Now, week 1 exercises. I want you to download the PDFs, complete the DISC goal breakdown, and you're going to start using the sheets first 5 and last 15. And so this is what I mean about this module being very light, because we're going to get into the sheets that I really want you to use and the content that I've created for you to really be the foundational framework for the course here. So I'm going to share or stop sharing my screen here, and we're going to jump over to, sorry, I do need to share my screen again. Yes, okay. So here is the first sheet that I've created for you. So this is DISC, goal breakdown, and so this is something I talked about earlier in the module. So deconstruction, what are all the components of your goal? You're going to use this sheet, you're going to break down your goal, your business, your project, and list every single component in here. I'm going to turn on my laser actually, so that way you guys can see. Okay, I don't have my laser. Anyways, and then select what 20% of the action will get 80% of the result. Sequencing, establish an order for the selected tasks. So once you have everything identified and you figure out what 80-20 principles are going to be most valuable for you, what order does it make sense for you to move through them? And then here is your stake, and you can see set a deadline to complete your goal by. So it might not be in the 6 weeks. Your goal in my last module or last course, somebody's building a video game. They're planning to take 2 years to build a video game. So your deadline might be very far away. It might be closer, but you need to have a firm deadline of when you want to achieve your goal by. And then frequency. How often are you able to work on your goal, right? It depends on your schedule. Some of you might have a 9 to 5. Some of you might freelance. So the more time you can put into it, the better. But you definitely want to, depending on your schedule, allocate as much time as you can to start working on your goals and projects and start blocking off that time in your calendar to start moving forward on that. So this is the first sheet that I want you to do, and this is going to help you deconstruct your business, your goal, your project, and really be a framework for the course to really start helping you move forward. Now, once you've completed this sheet, let's say you use it as like one session, then the next session is, it's really important to have an intention when we start our work session. So when I start off my day, I use this sheet sometimes every single time, sometimes not, because sometimes I'm just really busy and I want to get into it. But most days I use this sheet to get myself going. And so I call it the first 5 minutes of your day to really get into the right headspace to achieve what you want to do. It's very similar to a morning routine where you might meditate, you might stretch, you might drink matcha or green tea or coffee, whatever it is. This is like, how do you kickstart your session of work? And so the first question is, what is the next sequence goal you need to achieve? So this goes back to DISC, right? If we go back to here, and if we're looking at sequencing and really we've broken down our goal, is what do we have to do next in the sequence to move forward with our goal? A lot of people quit on their goals because they're not connected enough to, you know, if you have a 2-year game plan to build a video game, it's easy to give up on it if you don't see how the dots are connected. And this is something I talk about in later modules. So it's important for us to really connect today to the future so we feel that our goal is achievable and we can keep moving forward with it. So you're going to use, what sequence goal do you need to achieve next? What is the building block that you really need to move forward with your business or project to help you start moving forward? Next, what is your intention for today? So this is, you know, for me, like before I started recording this video, like my intention is to make the best possible video for you guys to really make an impact in your life. And this is something that we can control. We have full control over. It's about making it something that you can look at the end of the day and be like, okay, did I achieve my intention or not? Sometimes we can't physically execute on components of our project. Like if I'm building a new landing page and something might come up in coding that I don't get or something happens, I don't want your intention to be something that you can't control. So really make it something that you can focus on. And at the end of the day, at least you can have achieved this. The next question, if you could only do one thing today, what would it be and why? And we're going to talk about the importance of the one thing in later modules. But really focusing on one thing, if we can achieve that thing, that's going to move you forward, focus on that and achieve it. And then next is to do ideas musing around. One of the things that you'll learn later on is that the mind is not a place of storage. So we don't want to have a lot of ideas rolling around here. We want to have them on paper, or we want to be working on them. So here are things that might pop up during your day that you might need to jot things down. And this is where you can, anything you have a creative idea or an email you have to send out or something that comes to mind, you can write it in here. So this is how I want you guys to start off your work sessions, and I call it the first 5 because it really only take you about 5 minutes to do this, not much longer than that. And then depending how long your work session is, but the last 15 minutes, I want you to wrap up with this sheet. I call it the daily close. And so you're going to list, what did you accomplish today? And this is an important thing that we'll talk about more later on, about focusing on what we've been able to move and achieve versus on what we didn't. And when we focus on lack, we get more of it. If we focus on our progress, we see momentum, we get energized, and that's what we want to be focusing on. What did you struggle with? There's always pain points and things we're struggling with. We need to be able to start identifying them and moving forward with them. So this is the section where you write out what you struggle with during your session. And then, how can you resolve your struggles? So the next time this happens, you're prepared to move through it. And here's where we're getting constructive to start moving through the things that are challenging us or holding us back, so we're not running into the same pain points and getting stuck again and again in the same place, that we're able to move forward. Now, the last thing, and this is something that is so integral to my process and I live by now, is the system shutdown. And this is by Cal Newport. It came out of his book, Deep Work. And so this is how I want you to close off your work sessions. And that way it's going to really allow you to shut off your mind and feel that you're complete for the day. Whether you've gotten everything or done or not is arbitrary. It's more about getting to a place where you can shut your mind off and then go into a place where you can recover and relax and come back prepared to work hard for your next work session. So the first thing you always want to do is finish the task at hand. We don't want to leave anything outstanding. We want to wrap it up. And then once you've done that, we leave that. And then we might have some other smaller components of things we didn't finish that day that we thought we were going to get done. But it's important just to carry that over into the next day. Put that into your calendar. Say, when I get back into the office or into my workspace the next day, I'm going to be doing XYZ at this hour to start moving forward with that. So we're planning it into the future as opposed to trying to get it done because we just might be burnt out or time's running out and the day's over. We need to start moving forward on that. Third, you want to check your calendar for any upcoming meetings and appointments. And this is important because if there's something you need to prepare for or is coming up in the future, you don't want to get caught off guard by it. So this way, when we see something coming up in our calendar, if we need to prepare either a sales pitch or some slides or some notes, whatever it may be, we can prepare for that meeting and really be on point for it. So this is just looking into our calendar, into our future. So we're not caught off guard by anything. Fourth is we respond to any time-sensitive emails or messages that we need to get back to before tomorrow or before we wrap our day, because we don't want to be leaving the office and thinking about things that we didn't get done or execute on, and because anything rattling in our mind is going to impact our recovery. And I said to people in the last course that my goal, and I didn't realize when I was building the course, was when you're working, I want you at 100%. And when you're not working, I want your recovery to be at 100%. Because a lot of people, they're working at 50% and then they're recovering at 50%, and that's just not efficient. So the whole idea is when you're working, you want to be on, dialed in, and focused. And then when you're not working, you want to be recovering and resting. And so big thing is when we feel we have emails or messages we need to get back to, that's going to be going on in our mind. And even though we're not in the office or working anymore, it can distract us away from the people we're with, the relationships we're trying to develop, and just even having a good time with ourselves. So you always want to wrap up the messages that are time sensitive and important. Not all messages you need to respond to right away, right? Some can wait, but the ones that are sensitive in time, you get back to those. Last is clean your space. This is something that I do. I can't work in a dirty space. It's really something that drives me nuts. So if you don't believe in this, you don't have to do it, but it's something that I do because it's important to me. And the last is to say system shutdown. And Cal Newport talks about this. He says system shutdown for his mind. He turns off his computer. And this is just saying, this day is done. I've done as much as I can. I'm complete with it. I'm going to go home. And he goes home with his wife and kids. And basically, he's committed to them at that point in time. He's not thinking about work. He's not thinking about the lecture he has to give or the book he has to write or who he's talking to next. It's just about being committed and present in the moment once you leave the office or your workspace to be able to go forward and start recovering so you can come back the next day rested and recharged. This is the last 15 minutes. You can see it takes a little bit more time and effort, but this is how I want you to wrap up your work sessions to really allow you to shut off your mind and to be able to go out into the world and just recover. Now, the next thing, so these are the 3 worksheets that you want to get done basically for this week, and that will be your exercises for the week. And each week there'll be different exercises, but these are the ones that start off module 1. I've created a scorecard as a simple way for you to keep track of what exercises need to be done. This is a fun little way for you to earn some points and keep track of what you need to do. And so you can see week 1, there's 3 things. There's this one goal breakdown, that's the first sheet. There's use first 5, that's your second worksheet, and then use last 15. This is your third worksheet. And so there's different points depending on how complex or time sensitive the issue is. And so you can give yourself the points, and it's just a way of you keeping track of what exercises you have done and haven't, and at the same time it's a playful scorecard for you to keep track of. The last thing I want you to know is I do create a basic 1-page summary wrap-up for every single module, and you can print these off. You can have them saved onto your phone, tablet, wherever it is, and that way you don't have to go back to the whole video to really be able to understand what we talked about. And so let me pull this up right now because it should be okay. I don't have quick access to it, so I'm not going to get it, but I'm going to email it to you. It's called Module 1 Wrap, and it's basically a wrap up to the module. And you'll see the Chris Sacca quote in there, you'll see Parkinson's Law, you'll see DISC, and you'll see what we want to focus on, and that's to enjoy the process and really be able to have small wins throughout the course. And so each week you get a module wrap up, and it's a way just for you to understand the big ideas from the module and not have to go back into the course or the slides. But a lot of people liked watching the videos again or going back into the slides. They found that very valuable, and I will share all that with you in the email. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I want to say thank you for partaking in the first module. I hope you found that uber valuable, and if you have any questions, do reach out to me. I'm happy to email, text, whatever is going to work for you. Let me know, and then if you want to wait until the group coaching call, we can also do that, but you definitely have access to me, so feel free to reach out. So thank you so much for the first module. I hope you enjoy that. Like I said, light on the content. This has been so integral to me though, and such a key framework that I really want you guys to focus on that. Just start by breaking down your project. I don't want to overwhelm you with too many things to start. And then just the sheets and the framework and how things are going to operate. So that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I look forward to being on the call with you guys.